Today's visit also highlights the strong contrast between President Xi of China and Prime Minister Modi of India. Xi is an autocrat, a president for life now. Modi is a democratically elected leader. Xi went missing when the Wuhan virus outbreak happened in China. Modi intensified his outreach to the people of India. Xi's China exported the virus and sent faulty test kits to the world. Modi's India sent the world medical equipment and drugs. Betrayal is the hallmark of Xi's diplomacy. Consensus building is Modi's style. Xi has picked fights with the world to expand his power and territory. Modi has built alliances and led joint efforts to fight everything from climate change to this pandemic. And today, as Xi sits in his palace in Beijing, remote controlling battles, Prime Minister Modi stood with his soldiers in Ladakh. Here's a report.
These pictures from March tell the story of China's response to the coronavirus outbreak. Xi Jinping was visiting Wuhan for the first time since the outbreak began. He was at Huoshenshan Hospital, an emergency facility that was built to tackle the growing number of cases in the hotspot. But Xi Jinping kept away from the doctors and patients. He chose to stay inside a conference room and meet the frontline workers via a video link. That is how the Chinese president tackled the worst health crisis in a century, by staying out of the public eye and delegating his deputy, Premier Li Keqiang, to lead the team in charge of the response. Xi Jinping went AWOL. That wasn't the case in India, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has addressed the country at least 5 times since the Wuhan virus reached India. From the announcement of the lockdown to the unveiling of the economic package, Prime Minister Modi has been at the front and center of India's response, while Xi Jinping, the autocrat, has been pulling the strings from behind. When the outbreak peaked in Beijing, the Chinese president evaded the public eye. But once Wuhan was reopened, troops of the People's Liberation Army began chasing Xi's expansionist ambitions. China conducted frequent military activity in the South China Sea as well as close to Vietnam. Then came the betrayal. China amassed troops along the line of actual control in Ladakh. They clashed with the Indian soldiers as Beijing picked a fight with India. Even when India stood by China as a friend at the height of the coronavirus crisis. India provided 15 tons of medical supplies to China. At a time when the coronavirus crisis was at its peak in China, India supplied medicines and medical equipment. A reply to the lower house of the Indian Parliament in March spells out the details of India's assistance, worth more than 2 crores. These supplies were handed over to the Hubei Charity Federation in Wuhan. In return, China opened a bloody standoff with India in Ladakh. Such betrayals have become a hallmark of Xi Jinping's foreign policy. At a time when there is a trust deficit in global leadership, Narendra Modi has tried to shape India's position as a global consensus builder. It began with a virtual meeting of the SAARC nations, something that was initiated by India. Prime Minister Modi also participated in virtual summits of the non-aligned movement as well as the G20. Between March and May, the Indian Prime Minister spoke to 36 leaders in an effort to forge a global partnership to fight COVID-19. Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping enjoy a firm grip on power as leaders. But their approach to some of the biggest challenges in the world is fundamentally different. While Xi Jinping, the autocrat, has used the pandemic to embark on a global campaign to amass more power, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's approach to COVID-19 has reaffirmed the country's position as a steady partner in an hour of crisis. Bureau Report, We On, World is One.